Welcome everybody to the Heart Coherence Collaborative. Today we're so excited to have Anodea Judith with us. This is an honor. About 7 years ago, when I began on my spiritual journey, the one word that I heard everyone talking about was chakra, 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 chakra. And I had no idea what a chakra was. So I asked one of my friends, what is a chakra? And they said, this is the book you need to read by Anodea Judith. And I read it and it changed everything. So we're so excited today to dive in with you on the chakras, ask you a bunch of questions on what they are. And then also you're going to guide us to start in a beautiful chakra meditation. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Yes. Kyle actually gave me this book. I've used it. I've done the meditations. I've shared them and been inspired by them to do meditations with other people. So I'm so excited about this. Before we do the meditation, if you would just briefly say who you are and what you love to help people with.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be part of this heart math experiment that you're doing, bringing 50,000 people into coherence. How wonderful that is. I'm Anodea Judith, and I am kind of a household word with the chakra system. I've written about a dozen books on one aspect or another of the chakras and taught all over the world. And it's been my life's work. It's really been my dharma in this lifetime to bring the chakra system back to the West as a template for awakening, for cultural evolution, for human evolution, personal evolution, spiritual awakening, you name it. It really covers the ground.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here. And Anodea is going to guide us in a meditation now that actually includes heart coherence and the chakras. So the first chakra heart coherence meditation we've ever done. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for inviting me. All right, everyone, let's get down. Close your eyes and allow yourself to go into your inner world, what I call the inner temple. And just come into your breath and let your breath come out softly, maybe dropping your jaw a little bit, coming out of your mouth, letting out a little sigh. And feeling how you settle a little more deeply down toward the earth when you exhale. Just try that again. Inhale and let it out, letting your shoulders fall to earth. Letting yourself sink more deeply into your chair or your cushion, into your body. And then as we breathe, we're going to accentuate the core of the body where the chakras reside. And the simplest way to do that is imagine sending roots down out of the base of your spine, down through the floor, down through the foundation of your building, down into the earth, all the way down to the center of the earth, if you can imagine that. And at the same time you send your roots down, you lift your crown up. Stretching your spine in two opposite directions, lifting and extending downward, reaching up toward the heavens with your crown. And like pulling apart the two ends of a necklace, all the beads on the necklace will line up. Well, when we lift up our crown and we send down our roots, all the chakras line up at the core. And that core is your connection between heaven and earth. So we're going to do a little breathing up and down the core to begin, and then we'll go into a meditation. So first, opening your root chakras, if you could gather earth energy up and breathing in, moving up from the root up to your heart. And then holding your breath in the heart for a moment and charge it with your love. And then exhale that breath out the upper chakras, out the top of the head, letting it go up into the cosmos, up into the field that connects us all. And then the next inhalation, inhale from the cosmos down into your crown chakra, down into your third eye center, down through your throat and into your heart, holding the breath there for a moment in the heart, charging it with your love for the divine. And then as you exhale, exhale down to your root chakra, give that love to the Mother Earth who needs it so much right now. And we'll do this 2 more times. Inhale from the root up to the heart. Hold your breath there a moment. Charge it with your love. And give that love to the divine out through the crown of your head. Inhale through the divine, in through the crown chakra. Pull it down through your core into the heart. Hold the breath there a moment and charge it with your love. And then release it all the way down to your root, out the base of your spine. Give that love to Mother Earth. Now the last breath we'll do, imagine breathing in the roots and the crown at the same time, drawing them both into the heart. Down from the crown and up from the roots into the heart, letting the heaven and earth energies mingle. Hold your breath a moment and charge it with your love. And then when you exhale, open your arms out and imagine giving that love to everyone. And bring your hands back together in prayer position over the heart. And that's our breath. But now we're going to do a meditation coming into coherence at each chakra. So we're focusing on the root chakra, whose element is earth, at the base of your spine. And as you focus there, feel the coherence in your own body, 30 trillion cells working together as one being. And feel that amazing synergy in your body. And then connect that synergy to the coherence found within nature. Imagine walking into a forest. It's quiet and still. And the trees growing in harmony. Maybe the birds flying through, the insects down on the ground. Everything working in coherence. And allow that coherence to permeate your root chakra, the base of your torso, your legs, connecting down into the earth. And take a deep breath into this root chakra, Muladhara, which means root support. And as you exhale, let that go down your roots into the earth. And now bring your attention up to the second chakra called Svadhisthana, which means one's own place. So feel the coherence of your own place. This chakra is connected with water and also the emotions and pleasure. And imagine now a time when you feel good, when you're having pleasure. Maybe it's a good meal, maybe it's seeing a sunset, maybe it's getting a massage or even sexual pleasure, where you just surrender to a feeling good. And you find that coherence in your body when everything is flowing. All the liquid in your body is flowing. You're in your own place. Life is good. You feel good. Feel the coherence that brings into your second chakra. And allow that to radiate out to others who might not feel good, that they find their own resonance. Inhale into your second chakra. And exhale, letting that slowly emanate outward, just like water flowing smoothly and evenly. Waves of pleasure all around you. And next we focus on the solar plexus area. This is the third chakra, oriented to the element of fire. It's often called the power chakra because it's here that we find our power. And power in the world today is pretty mixed up. There's a lot of competing factions and wars. So we want to find coherent power. So think of a time when you really felt like you were in your power, when something you were doing was effortless. You didn't have to push, you didn't have to strive. You knew who you were. When that power and life force flowed easily through you, just imagine that now. And feel how that power comes when all of our parts are coherent, moving forward in one direction. And imagine that coherence coming out into the world where people come together in unity with one direction, creating heaven on earth in this world, working together cooperatively, collaboratively. And breathing into your solar plexus, seeing that fire flame up, and breathing out, radiating that power, coherence out into the world around you. And now we come into the heart chakra, the center of the whole chakra system. Its name, Anahata, means not struck or not heard. It means we get beyond the struggle and the strife. So as you focus on your heart and take a breath into your heart center, imagine a time when you really felt loved. You felt safe and cared for. Maybe you're in the arms of your lover, or maybe you were a kid sitting in your grandmother's lap. Or maybe you're walking on the beach and you feel the love of the earth creating beauty. And soak all the cells of your body in that feeling of contentment, of love, of coherence in the heart. And in the heart chakra, one thing we want to do is soften. So soften your face. Soften your shoulders. Soften your chest, your belly, your legs. Soften the skin on your body. And the element of the heart chakra is air. The air is surrounding you. You are enveloped by it, just as we are enveloped by a field of divine love. So feel that now, like a cloak around you. Divine love, divine perfection. Take a deep breath into your heart center and all these feelings. And breathe that out gently and softly into the world around you. Seeing a wave of softness and gentleness and compassion flow out into the world in heart coherence. And next we come into the throat chakra, the area of communication. And here the spiritual value is truth. Truth has a coherence. We know it when we hear it. It is coherent with our being, with what we experience, with what we know in our hearts to be true. And truth is battling for existence out in the world right now with a lot of misinformation, but let us know the truth in our hearts and resonate with that truth, whatever truth you know inside in your deepest being, that you are love, that we are love, that we are evolving into love. And imagine that truth as coherent waves, like sound waves, oscillating back and forth coherently, harmoniously, coming out of your fifth chakra, your throat chakra. Waves of blue all the way around you, 360 degrees, like sound coming out of a speaker, but this is harmonious sound of speaking your deepest truth. And the name of this chakra is vishuda, which means purification. So as you breathe out your truth, as you speak your truth, you are purifying the situation around you. You're bringing more purity into the world. And that prepares us for higher consciousness as we come up to the sixth chakra, the third eye center, right in the middle of your head, intersecting that vertical core, right at brow level, a center of light. Ajna, to command and to perceive. Sometimes known as the command center, because the images we hold in our mind here command our reality. So as we come up to this chakra, imagine the world you would like to see. healthy world with the environment healthy and green. See that in your mind's eye. See a world where the children can be healthy and safe. See a world built with beauty as a spiritual value. There's beauty in the cities and beauty in the land. And feel the coherence of that vision. Everyone would love to live in beauty. Because beauty means we're close to the divine. So imagine everyone holding a vision of the world we know in our hearts is possible. And as you breathe into your third eye, igniting that vision, and breathe out, breathe that vision out into the world. And of course, to bring that vision about, we need guidance. So we come up to the crown chakra, the chakra of pure consciousness, the chakra of our higher wisdom, of grace, of a higher intelligence in the divine. And we open that chakra to the coherence of divine intelligence that is everywhere in the universe, that is in nature, on the planet, that is in the stars. We draw that divine guidance down into our crown. Maybe even asking a question that you want guidance on right now in your mind's eye. Asking for guidance. And feeling the universal coherence of that grace. That grace coming down into you, filling up each and every chakra with coherent, divine grace, vision, truth, love, power, pleasure, and health. Allow all your chakras to come into the coherence of the midline, sending your roots down and your crown up and bringing your palms together in line, in alignment with that core. And taking a breath in and exhaling that out into the world. And then when you're ready, open your eyes.
Wow. How do you feel?
I'm good. I'm going to come back to this.
Yeah, that felt so good on a whole level, you know? It's like I've gone to different meditations and I feel good, but that felt like entirely amazing.
Oh, thank you. Well, the chakra system is a template that matches into your individual, but also into the collective. So that's the beauty of it. You know, I have my own body and its cells, but I'm part of the earth. I have my own emotions and feelings and water, but there's the waters of the earth. So it's a good way to connect the individual to the collective.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would love to hear, just like, first off, how did you become so fascinated with the chakras?
I got into yoga around 1975 and was reading everything spiritual that I could. And I was meditating one day, and I had this little sheepskin rug that I meditate in, and I had a little attic apartment that I was living in. And I had an out-of-body experience, the only one I've ever had in my life. And I floated up outside of my body, and I looked down, and there I was sitting in meditation, and there was a book on my lap. And it was on the chakras, and it was written by me.
Wow.
So I knew then that that was the next thing I had to do, and it really became my life's work.
So I would love to hear you say, for somebody who really doesn't know a lot about chakras or at all about chakras, just a few sentences that would really tell somebody what they are. And then maybe for people who do know a lot about chakras, something that might be unique or surprise them.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, chakras are energy centers in the body that have many, many associations. They're associated with archetypal elements like earth, water, fire, air, sound, light, and thought. They are associated with stages of childhood. As we grow up, we start off trying to figure out how to make this body work, how to hold ourselves up and walk around. And then we have all those feelings that we're trying to sort out. And then we come into our power, and we go to school, and we become socialized in the heart. And we learn to read and write, and we, communicate, and we grow up and have a vision, and we get connected with, a worldview and with the divine. So there's a progression there. You can map them onto stages of human history, which I did in my book, Waking the Global Heart, saying that we're coming into moving from the love of power to the power of love as a organizing principle. So it's a master organizing system, but they are energy centers in the body. But I'll give you my working definition that I use in all my workshops and teachings. Chakras are organizational centers for the reception and the assimilation, the storage, and the expression of life force energy. So on each of these different levels. So in the first chakra, we take in food, we assimilate it by digesting it. If we eat too much, we store it on our bellies as fat, and then we burn it off when we exercise. We take in emotion and we store some of it, or we discharge some of it. We take in love, and we may store some of that in our heart. The heart math meditation is to bring a feeling of love into your heart. So that's storing it there. And we express love, and some people, maybe they're blocked and they can't assimilate love very well. They can't take it in, or they can't express it. We take words in. You're taking words in right now. And then you might store them. Oh, I remember that phrase, and tell someone else later. We take in images, we create it, we take in the divine. So they are constantly exchanging between the inner world and the outer world.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That is amazing. I would love to hear you talk about what would it look like in somebody to have optimal energy flow from a chakra perspective, and then also what happens when they get blocked.
Yeah. Well, my word for energy, first of all, I use the word charge. Mm-hmm. And that's because it's non-esoteric. I can say to a little kid, oh, you're all charged up about that, aren't you? Or I can say to a client, oh, you still have a pretty big charge on your ex-husband. And everyone knows what I mean. I don't have, you say you're all prana'd up or you're all chi'd up, but it's the same thing. It's the life force. And the chakras handle the life force. That's their purpose, to manage the life force in you at these different levels. And so to be fully functioning and have an even flow, the life force wants to move through you without hitting any blocks. That's when we feel good. That's when we feel most alive. It's a life force. It's your aliveness. And I think people are more seeking their aliveness than they are the meaning of life. Once you have your aliveness, the meaning of life is obvious. So this is when we can fully have our life force in every cell of the body, in every aspect of our being, we feel fully alive. And so that would be the hallmark, that you feel really alive. Now, most people are more open on some levels than they are on others. You know, they might be talkers that talk nonstop, but they're closed in the heart. Or they might be very open in the heart, but they're a little shy and they don't speak up much. They might be very emotional and, you know, and not very verbal. I mean, it can be imbalanced. So the other thing is that all the chakras need to be in relative balance so that they're all functioning, and they're all functioning together really in coherence with each other. Your mind isn't saying go this way and your emotions saying go that way. That's not coherent. You know, that everything is working together as one.
Thank you.
I would love to hear you talk about the chakras relating to addiction and what might have happened or not happened in certain energy centers and how that creates addiction.
Yeah. So addiction, there's many kinds of addiction, and some of it depends on what you're addicted to. You know, you can be addicted to uppers, you can be addicted to downers, and those do two different things. But the way I look at it is when we have a craving or we go toward a certain substance or an activity, you know, activities can be addicting. You can be addicted to your phone. You can be addicted to gambling. It is because it supplies something that sort of balances out the chakra. For example, somebody who is very blocked in their third chakra, which would be fire and energy, they don't have enough fire. So what are they going to be attracted to? They're going to be attracted to caffeine, speed, cocaine, you know, things that energize, because when they have that, they feel in relative balance. Now, that's not a healthy way to bring your chakra into balance. And the trouble is, then that gets in the chakra and you don't actually learn to balance it out at all. But I'm just saying the urge toward an addiction is that. So the different substances and processes really correlate to different chakras, you know? So I think of alcohol as more of a second chakra issue. And here's why. What alcohol does is it knocks out the inhibition of the brain. You know, the brain, the cerebral cortex has an inhibiting effect on the nervous system. In other words, you can have an urge to hit someone and your mind says, oh, but I'm a civilized human being. I don't hit. You know, when I was in kindergarten, my mom told me not to hit, and so I don't. Or you can have an urge to steal something and you go, oh, I'm a moral person, I'm not going to steal. So we can inhibit that. What alcohol does is it knocks out that inhibition so the urges and the emotions can flow. That's why people can say things when they're drunk that they can't, or they feel, at ease at a party when they've had a few drinks in them. And again, it doesn't heal that. It's not a healthy way to balance it. But you see alcohol used a lot in cultures that are very inhibited, right? There's much less of it on the West Coast, for example, where people are freer. They tend to do more, you know, psychedelics and marijuana, whereas on the East Coast, there's a lot more alcohol, right? Because it's a little more regimented and people feel they get out of that inhibition. Something that is calming, like tranquilizers or anything that just calms you down, that would also be a third chakra imbalance. Some people have too much energy in their third chakra and they feel anxious. Anxious is too much energy. Depression is too little. And so they're going to feel better with something that calms them down. But again, it doesn't solve the anxiety problem, right? So you look at different things. Cigarettes are strangely enough related to the heart, because when you take a drag on that cigarette, it gives you a little hit to the heart. And I have found, I've worked with a lot of people over the years, not so much because people don't smoke anymore, but, you know, in the early years of my practice, helping them quit smoking, once they got that out of their system, a relationship showed up. So it's sort of like to bring that hit to the heart that has not been coming through love. So you look at the different, shopping, gambling, those are first chakra addictions. I want more things. Yeah.
Interesting. This is so good.
I love that.
I would like to know about the colors around the chakras. So, like, what does that mean? Everybody says, this chakra is red, this chakra is blue. What does that actually mean?
Well, in the old diagrams from, the ancients, they didn't have the same colors that you see, like in this image here, the rainbow progression. But that is wavelengths, the different wavelength of visible light in the spectrum. So red vibrates the most slowly of the visible light spectrum. Violet vibrates the most quickly. So it has a higher frequency. And it's, from red to violet, it's, progressively higher frequency. And so if you look at the chakras, well, the earth moves much slower, it's dense, it's a lower frequency. Lower frequency isn't necessarily bad. There's a lot in the new age that says, oh, we got to raise our frequency. Well, you wouldn't want to go to an orchestra that has only flutes, or listen to a band that has no bass, I studied piano with a teacher once who said, bass is God, it's like the bass is what everything is built on. So what we want is harmony and coherence more than just be at a higher frequency. But that said, so we want all the colors. We don't just want to be violet. You don't want a painting that's just violet and blue. You want the full spectrum. So it's just a correlation. It doesn't mean that the chakra really is that color. However, there's a study that I quote in the book you mentioned, Wheels of Life, that was called the Rolf study, where they had a psychic in one room, or a psychic in the room with the person who was getting Rolfed, and then they had, things on their body that was measuring different wavelengths and frequencies. And when the psychic saw blue, there was a characteristic vibration. And then when the psychic saw red, there was another one. And what they found at the end of the 10 sessions of Rolfing, which Rolfing is designed to get you properly aligned, by moving your connective tissue and getting the, contraction out of you so that you're really aligned, is that person had the rainbow progression through all their chakras.
Right.
So that was an interesting study.
Thank you.
I would love to hear, it feels like the first step, if you're going to heal something, is to understand what needs to be healed. So how do people, without a practitioner, identify, because even that thing you said about smoking, I don't think that somebody would necessarily know that that was connected. Some things are more clear, but sometimes it's a little bit more confusing as to, okay, which energy center do I need to focus on and heal? So how do you diagnose that or connect it?
Yeah, well, I have a diagnostic system that I created when I wrote Eastern Body, Western Mind, which is my book on the psychology of the chakras. It's probably my best known book. And in that, I looked at the chakras and how they could become excessive or deficient. Now, that's pretty easy to relate to. Excessive, you do too much of something. Deficient, you don't do enough. Let's take the first chakra, which is earth and body and solid matter. Excessive is you make too big a body. You put on weight, you're heavy, because that makes you feel more grounded, right? It's just like any other addiction. It gives you a temporary balance, but not a healthy one. Or people who are way up in their heads and not really living in their bodies, and they're skinny and flighty, and that would be a deficient first chakra. We all know people who are emotionally excessive, they're all over the place, and emotionally deficient, like, I just don't feel anything. They're numb. That would be deficient. In the power center, some people are dominating and controlling. That would be excessive. Some people are passive and weak and easily manipulated. That would be deficient. Now, when we come to the heart, it's a little, like, how can you have too much love? But what I see in an excessive heart chakra is more codependent behavior, like not being in yourself and really being in everybody else's business, and wanting to be the center of attention in order to get love, saying, love me, love me, love me. That's kind of an excessive heart. Now, excessive does not mean the person is good at it. An excessive, making a heavy body to be more grounded doesn't mean you are more grounded. Dominating and controlling doesn't mean you're really operating from a place of power. It's a compensation. So we have to know that excessive doesn't mean, oh, I've got this one down, right? It's too much. Deficient in the heart would be closed and isolated and judgmental and, just not connected. We all know people that talk too much and people that are very shy and can hardly get their words out. Up here, it's more, I've met people who, there's so much in their psychic stuff. Oh, yeah, I know you in a past life and the space brothers are coming down and, da-da-da-da-da. And it's kind of like, whoo. and there's other people that, you have them over for dinner and you're looking at your watch and you're yawning and they don't notice anything around them. That would be deficient. And then in the crown chakra, there's people who are very spiritually connected, but actually so up here that they ignore their earthly practical things. So, they're pursuing their spirituality, but they can't balance their checkbook or keep their house clean. So that would be an excess. And then deficient is, this too much skepticism, cynicism. Oh, there's nothing out there, closed down spiritually. So we look at that and we can feel it in the body. You have too much fire in the body, you're hot all the time, you're burning up. You have too little fire, you're cold all the time. Very simple, too much water, too little water, you're dry. Too much weight. So you look at the body, you also look at what you're doing in your life. How am I behaving? Am I emotional all the time? Well, then that's an excessive in the second chakra. So you look at, and the simple thing about this diagnostic system is whatever you're doing too much of, well, the healing is to do less. And whatever you're not doing enough of, to do more. So I have a philosophy, steal from the rich and give to the poor. So you take from what is excessive and you give it to what is deficient and you balance yourself out.
Wow. Yeah, so this is mind-blowing. I would love to know, so I'm assuming that, your chakra balance changes, throughout your day as you go about different things. Do you see a correlation between like is somebody's chakra system very closely related to like their parents' combined chakra system?
Well, I don't know, but I don't know about it's the parents combined, because some people can actually rebel against and do the opposite. Like you could come into a family that is very emotionally closed down and somebody's very emotional is a balance for that. But I do think our childhood experiences and training and conditioning that we got from our parents has a lot to do with the chakras. In fact, has almost everything to do with them. Yeah.
Is it hard to reprogram? Like, so if we just continue to do that exercise we did every day at the beginning of this, would that be enough?
No. I wish it were that simple. I wish it were that simple. It's sort of like saying, well, can I think about having money and just have it appear in my bank account? Well, thinking about having money is a good first step because it puts you in prosperity consciousness. But that doesn't mean you're suddenly going to go to the bank and have another zero bumping it all up, 10% in your bank account. So no, there's physical practices, there's behavior practices, there's getting into the programming, that the messages you got and the belief systems you formed as a child, belief you'll never be loved or you'll never find the right person, or belief that everybody else can do it, but I can't, or I'm not good enough, or, all kinds of beliefs get lodged into the chakras. And we get those from our parents. But, and that can be, that meditation can take you into your core and can take you into coherence. And that's a good place to start. But if you have some niggling thing that comes up every time push comes to shove and you want to run away instead of speak your truth, then you got to deal with that on another level.
Cool.
Can you talk about the chakras and manifesting?
Yeah. So most people are familiar with the chakras as, starting at the bottom and going toward higher levels as we go up to the top. And that is indeed one of the, it's a ladder of liberation, right? But most people don't understand that you also have to go in the other direction from the top down. Now, Sri Aurobindo, for instance, talked about a downward current. And if you look at the ancient texts on the chakras, they talk about mukti and bhukti. Mukti is liberation. Bhukti is enjoyment. And it's enjoyment through all the senses. So as we come down through the chakras, we take an idea, which is only exists in consciousness. I think of something, right? You don't know what I'm thinking of. And then I imagine it, right? I think, oh, I want to build a house. Okay, well, what kind of house do I want to build? I've got to imagine it for a while. Oh, I want it to have big windows and I want it to, an island in the kitchen, whatever. And then you talk about it to somebody. You go to an architect and you say, all right, here's the house I've been envisioning that I want to build, and I've got this much money and it's going to be on this land. And, and the architect will have a conversation with you. Well, how many bedrooms do you want and whatever? And then you find all the relationships to create that. So you have to go to the bank and have a relationship with them, and you need a contractor, and you need a relationship with the neighbors that you're going to disturb while you're building, and a relationship to the land, and many, many relationships to bring something about. You have to give it your power. You have to do things. You have to make phone calls and show up and hammer the nails, and you have to bring things together. Second chakra is really coming together. And as you bring it together, it gets denser and denser at each step that you go down, because we're coming into the denser planes until you finally have it manifested in physical form. Now, here's the thing about manifestation. When you're coming from, no limitations of consciousness, and you're coming down into the manifested world, at each level, as it becomes denser, you experience resistance. So, I've got this great idea, but I don't really want to call up people and make cold calls. Or I can talk about it, but I don't really know the right people to do it with. Or I've got people to do it with, but they're not showing up and doing it. And it's not coming together. So there's resistance, just like a meteor coming from the heavens hits the atmosphere, and then it hits the ocean, and then it hits the land. Each level of resistance slows it down. So in my workshops on this, it's about getting through the resistance. Exercises to get the resistance out of your way so that you can manifest on each one of those levels. Yeah. It's really fun.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun.
It is.
Yeah. And so now in regards to chakras, are they all charged, or are there actual physical body components that are associated with each chakra?
Well, they are really said not to exist in the physical body, or not to have a physical form. Although I saw a cartoon once that, there's an operating table and a surgeon with a mask on and everything. And there's a little sparkly thing on the floor, and it says, chakra, chakra. What do you mean I disconnected the chakra? But they do influence parts of the body. So the heart chakra, we have a physical heart, but the heart chakra is not the physical heart. But let's say someone's having heart trouble, or they're having lung issues, I would say it has to do with their heart chakra, right? Let's say you get frequent sore throats, or you're always tight in the neck and shoulders, or jaw tension. Well, that's going to be throat chakra. Let's say you get headaches, it's probably up here. Let's say you have digestive issues, that would be your third chakra. So even though the chakras are not physical in the sense that an idea is physical, it's not, it's just an idea. And even emotion, sadness is not a physical thing that I can hand to you on a piece of paper, but it affects my physical body. If I'm sad, I feel heavy, I feel slow. If I'm angry, I feel fired up. If I'm scared, I feel tense, So they all affect the physical body, but they're not the same as.
I feel so happy and complete with all my questions.
Yeah. I feel like I could probably ask questions for like 10 hours straight, because this is the most fascinating thing.
And you'll come back with us.
Well, so I would love to just ask you, how can we support you? How can our followers get in touch with you? Anything you need from us.
Well, I have several websites, but the main one is anodeajudith.com, just my name, ANODEAJUDITH.com. And that has my online courses and the live courses that I'm still doing. I've slowed down from that a lot since COVID. And also I'll be 71 in a couple days, so I'm kind of slowing down. And so I am, but I'm teaching live a little bit. I've got one on manifestation coming up and a weekend on chakras coming up in February of 24. Ooh. And all the things that I do, my books, my online courses, my videos, you can really track it down through the AnodeaJudith.com. Sacredcenters.com was my website for a long time when I was teaching more. I do a lot of things.
Yeah, we can tell. Well, thank you so much for being here and being a part of this challenge. I know our audience is going to love you, and it's been really meaningful just to get to know you. We've loved your books, so thank you.
Yeah. And
thank you so much for the opportunity.
It's just really, there's some topics where so many people talk about them, but you have this special thing where you say things about chakras that nobody says in the exact way that you do, where you just get that click where you're like, oh, I understand something new.
Yeah.
So I just appreciate you so much. We both do. I know that.
Thank you. I probably thought about it more than anybody on the planet. I've been writing about it since my first book came out in 1987. So it was a long time ago. And I've thought about it from all different kinds of angles and taught it over and over and over and over again to thousands and thousands of people. So yeah.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, we'll go check out all of Anodea's books because they will help you balance your chakras and live a better life.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Heart blessings to you.